All right, everybody, welcome back to the Mangalorian. This is, well, the fourth stream covering volume 4 of the Dragon Ball manga. In case you are new or you don't know what's going on, basically, myself and Jordan the Dragon Lee, right over here, right, he's going to work with me and we're going to go through the entire Dragon Ball manga. We had this planned out prior to Toriyama's passing, but there were some real life hurdles that got in the way of us starting. And now that he's passed away, I think it is the best time to go back and revisit his work. So, Jordan, what's going on with you, bro?
Not a whole lot, man. Just excited to get started.
That Gogeta video did 13,000 views, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm putting out a Vegito video next. I'm super hyped about it.
That's going to be on Jordan's channel. So make sure that you leave a comment. I'm not leave a comment. I'm dumb. Go to the description of this stream, and I tagged Jordan, so you should just be able to click on his name, and it should take you right to his channel. So today we're covering volume 4 of the manga. This is basically going to be continuing the tournament. Let me get my notes out here real quick, and we do have a super chat, which I do want to quickly acknowledge this. He wrote, "Rest in power, Benny comic story." And yeah, Benny, the guy who ran the YouTube channel Comic Story and passed away. He died, some kind of accident. The details are very sparse, and I respect the privacy of the family. But he was a guy who really helped, he really helped put over comic books and manga. He also had a channel called the Manga Storian, which kind of sounds like our stream, the Mangalorian. It kind of sounds like that. But they used to read manga and go through it, sort of like what we do, except they went panel for panel. We're just giving an overall look. So yeah, I saw Rob's video this morning, and he was a mess, man. It's kind of shocking, considering how young this guy was.
Yeah, accidents can happen in an instant. It's horrible to hear.
He's one of those guys that I watched back in 2015 when I first got into YouTube. I found him through Rob, and when I was really learning about YouTube and what I could and couldn't do, that's where I went to Benny's channel and Comics Explained. So we're here at volume 4, Son Goku's training, but we're gonna pick it up right here with Goku after his victory against Gidan. We left off there last week. Actually, let me real quick adjust my screen here. Okay, there we go. So Goku had just beaten Gidan. We covered that 3 weeks ago or whenever we did the stream last. And now it's Krillin's turn. This right here is Goku mooning, but Jordan had to cover it up with the cloud because we can't really show that here on YouTube. But if you get the uncensored manga, you'll get that. This here shows that Yamcha is figuring out that Jackie Chun is Roshi. This is prior to Yamcha being, a trainee. Jordan, was there a movie where a master dressed up like another fighter to test his opponent or his student? Because I feel like that's a plot that's been done before.
It's probably, yeah, it sounds like a trope, but I don't remember anything offhand where that's the case.
Yeah, I don't remember specifics either. Where's my damn... Where did I put my coffee at? Whatever. So, it's Krillin Kuririn against Jackie Chun. So, this is the first semifinal fight in the tournament, and here we have Krillin, who was, him and Goku were among Roshi's students here, actually facing off against Roshi. Note again, as we talk about the beautiful paneling from Toriyama, it's very easy to read left, right, or in some cases right, left. Just what more can be said, man? The dude is an incredible artist and always will be. These fights, even though they're just still images, even if you take the anime away from your brain, you can actually visualize how this looks.
Well, this is a huge part of why Dragon Ball took off. This right here, this style of paneling. Yeah, well, not necessarily yes, the fights, but it's like each individual martial arts move paneled out in a really easy to read, creative, fun way. You know, it's just really well done.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the fights can be very easily visualized, and that is a talent in and of itself because I've seen comic books that have had fights, but there oftentimes you have to fill in the blanks a lot with your own brain to kind of make it into a moving picture in your mind if you want to do that. Here, Toriyama makes it easy. So I love this cover right here, with everybody doing the crane stance or whatever, the same stance from the Karate Kid. Of course, you know, if you like Cobra Kai, you got to see Karate Kid 'cause that's what the show is based off of. But I love that Lunch is there. I love that. Do you see Lunch right there? Like that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on here. Great fight so far. I love reading this in color, even though the black and white version is awesome. There's Krillin with a big bruise on his face, and I love how realistic that bruise looks. That looks like a bruise that any one of us would get. I just love all this, bro. There's not much for us to break down. If you have any thoughts for this part, let me know. It all just seems very like just cool, like just good shit, you know?
Yeah, it's Toriyama playing with his martial arts style paneling, but also this whole like I'm moving so fast that nobody can see what I'm doing thing is like a cool. It's like it's something that like young kids will be like, oh my god, that's so cool. But at the same time, it's also kind of like a gag because they have to like explain each individual movement to the crowd, and they're being all goofy about how they're going about doing it, and it's just yeah. There's not much to say lore wise other than the fact that Roshi is clearly teaching Krillin a lesson here. But yeah, this is just overall well done in terms of just like an overall fight by Toriyama.
Not to mention this part of the fight right here is super important because this is the samurai battle. So what I mean by the samurai battle is you've got Jackie Chun on one side, you've got Krillin on the other, right? Roshi and Krillin, Kurodin, right? And they're both coming after each other. And then what happens when they both collide is left up to the interpretation of the viewer until it's explained. As you can see right here in the upper left of the screen, that they're there, and then Krillin goes down. So as you said, the blow was so fast that the naked eye could not see it. This is something Dragon Ball would do over and over and over and over and over again, going all the way into Z, going all the way into all the different sequel arcs. The whole super fast thing happened right there. And then Krillin is getting up. He's not totally out of it, but
yeah, and then they slowly recreate everything they did for the crowd.
Yes, and this was awesome in the anime and awesome in the manga. Yeah, right here, because the crowd didn't see it, they're actually illustrating blow for blow what just happened, breaking the fourth wall, dude. That's something in a way, breaking the fourth wall. That's something that I think is, you know what I mean? That I think is hilarious. And I'm so glad that he never did it again. Because you can't do that. Maybe you can do it one more time as a throwback, but you can't do that in the later arcs that are more serious.
No. He did do that in the middle of the Boo arc at one point where he had Krillin point out that that he's reusing panels, but it's very rare that he
that's true. But what I'm referring to is like them stopping and showing the audience what happened in slow motion. They do that in Dragon Ball, right? But it's usually a dramatic way of doing it later on in the series. But here they are literally move for move showing the audience what happened. And that, again, that's total Jackie Chan humor. Like that is right out of the Jackie Chan playbook. You know, as you can see here, they're just basically reenacting. Here's the announcer guy holding up Jackie Chun because he can't like show him jumping. Like it's so, you know what it is, bro? It's basically if you were to go to a school play and you ask the kids, can you show us how you did that? And then the kids go move by move showing you how they did it like a choreographed dance. That's awesome, bro. So I love it. I mean, I love it. And they're talking about, like, right here, look, amazing, absolutely unbelievable. I am positive this kind of speed has been entirely unprecedented in this tournament. Of course, the power scale would just go up from there. So what can you do?
Yeah.
Now, again, these action panels are awesome. Krillin came in, pretending like he was knocked out, got up, did a kick up, and kicked the shit out of fucking Roshi and sent his ass flying back. The mysterious Jackie Chun, now chapter 43. He flies back. Roshi fires, or Jackie Chun fires a Kamehameha. Now, up until this point, you don't have to apologize. Just make sure you stick around. That's for the people in the audience. Up until this point, right, we did not know anything about Jackie Chun, and the only people that knew how to do a Kamehameha were Goku and Jackie Chun, and possibly Krillin, because he trained with Roshi. Here we are seeing Jackie Chun do a Kamehameha. Goku does not know that that's Master Roshi. He does not know it's him, even up until this day. So now the whole thing is, oh, wow, he must be one of Roshi's students. How did he learn the Kamehameha? And here it's an example of how creative it was used, because Kamehamehas have been used brilliantly all throughout the series. Going back to the beginning right here, even all the way until Super, when Goku did that Ultra Instant Kamehameha jumping on, like, the
where he was sliding on. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's favorite. Here, what's happening is he's using the Kamehameha, right, as a way to fire it to give himself leverage. What would you call, like, a projectile?
Like a rocket boost.
Yeah, like a rocket boost to fire himself backwards so he doesn't get eliminated. And then here he is landing on his feet. Like, that's a badass move. Now, the question is, where did the Kamehameha go and what did it destroy? Because for all we know, somebody might have died in that motherfucker on accident.
Yeah, there ain't no telling. Yeah.
You would assume that Roshi would, like, sense it before he fires it, like using the force, but, there you go. This whole thing, like Jordan said, is done to teach Krillin a lesson. And it's a very similar lesson to what Goku learns. But right here, it says the only person in the world able to do such an attack is Muten Roshi. But now we just saw another person do it before our very eyes. Amazing. The Kamehameha, he just did the Kamehameha. So they're over here marking out like it's the most amazing thing they ever saw. And then here comes Krillin. I'll break you apart with this. Then Roshi's focus, uses a Zanzoken to move out of the way, goes behind Krillin and hits him with the double chop, bro. A move that Goku...
The early Zanzoken like that is one of my favorite parts of this.
It was used a lot in this tournament, yeah. And what's beautiful is that double chop right there that you see, right? That double chop, that is a move that Goku would use on Tao Pai Pai in their second matchup. See, in a real fight, doing a double chop is probably not a good idea because you leave yourself vulnerable and it's a weird position to be in. Maybe if you're behind somebody, you know right where to hit them. But in martial arts movies and in martial arts TV shows, the double chop to the neck is like an instant knockout. We saw Whis do it to Beerus in Battle of Gods with the one hand, right? Yeah. But in Dragon Ball, the double chop is what was used more often.
They used to do it in a lot of ninja films and video games. The like single chop, like they'll like sneak up behind somebody and bam, just like knock them out. So yeah, it's a really cool move.
Let me get some of these super chats here that are popping up here. Xavier the God says, Master Roshi is the creator of the Kamehameha wave, but is Goku the master of it because of all the different versions he's done? They are both masters of the Kamehameha. Roshi, I mean, he's the OG, bro. He probably knows every single way of doing the Kamehameha. Goku, as you stated, also figured out ways of making it more creative. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Goku takes techniques and pushes them farther than the creators in a lot of cases.
But I think Roshi could still do it if he wanted to.
Yeah, but Roshi is the god of martial arts. So, yeah, I definitely think that he's capable of doing everything that Goku is. He probably just doesn't feel the need or hasn't tried, You
know what's funny about the Kamehameha? I talked about this in a video a long time ago, and I'm going to get this super chat here from Justin in just a moment. Actually, let me get it right now because we talked about this earlier. He says, "What's up, Danny? By the way, I'm very saddened to hear about what happened to comic historian. God rest his soul." Yes, yes. We talked about that at the beginning of the stream. We mentioned him, even though I've never collabed with Ben before. I knew him, and I not personally, but I interacted with him a couple times. But he was somebody who pushed manga and comics and really opened up a lot of people's eyes to it. So what I was going to say about the Kamehameha is that when I was younger and I first discovered Dragon Ball, I saw the Hadouken and I thought that the Kamehameha was copying the Hadouken from Ryu and Ken in Street Fighter. But it turns out it's I found out later on it's the other way around. Same thing when I saw Supersonic and then I saw Dragon Ball Z. I thought Dragon Ball Z was copying Supersonic, not knowing that came first. So many things this fucking franchise has inspired, dude. But I watched the video yesterday on YouTube about the original Street Fighter game, the one from 1987 that kind of sucks. It's not a very well playable game. But the Hadouken was purposely modeled to look like the Kamehameha. And by the time that game came out, Dragon Ball was already 3 years old in the manga and a year and a half in the anime. So
yeah, people take that pose and the idea of shooting a chi blast in that way seriously as a martial arts technique, even though it's clearly not real. But people in fiction and stuff like that, they take it seriously like it's a real mythological technique. And I think that that's just awesome on Toriyama's part that he had that much of an impact on pop culture.
Even in Tekken, there's a move that Heihachi does that looks like he's firing a ki blast. He's not really, but it looks like he is. Doing this to somebody's face is not really going to hurt them. There's more effective ways of striking. Yeah, so it's definitely a tribute. So Krillin has been knocked out with the double chop. Jackie Chun advances to the final. And I love that up here in the upper left, Toriyama is such a great comic book artist because if you're forgetting what's going on, remember, we're going through chapters. We're going through the chapters here on one stream, but it was once a week. And by this point, we're already 4 chapters in. No, we're 6 chapters in. So in case you forgot who won what fights and who was there, Toriyama was kind enough to. Yeah, he's got the brackets up there in the upper left. And so with the brackets there, like I said, it helps somebody who may have forgotten who went where advance. And we see, of course, Jackie Chun to the very top on his way out. But now we have the second semifinal, Son Goku and Namu. These types of fights in Dragon Ball, I kind of miss. We see them once in a while. We see them in the tournaments, even in the Buu Saga tournament, we saw it. I like these tournament fights where it's babyface versus babyface. It's good guy versus good guy and not just good guy versus bad guy. Because even though in pro wrestling, those matches sometimes don't draw, in Dragon Ball, seeing fights like Goku versus Nam or Goku versus Krillin, when Goku is fighting somebody else who's a good person, not a villain, those fights have a different feel to them, and they feel more like chess matches, and I love them. Even Jiren wasn't quite like that.
Yeah, every fight where he doesn't have to change their evil heart, so to speak. He's just encouraging them to practice martial arts. I love those fights that
they have a different feel,
Yeah.
So here, okay, again, to put over Toriyama's incredible art, here we have basically Nam and Goku, or Yamu and Goku. Did I say Nam? Hold on, Yamu, right? Yeah, Namu. Yam is the other guy. I always say Nam instead of Yam. I get them mixed up. Yam. Okay. So I didn't mean to do that. Namu. Anyways, this is supposed to illustrate them going for attacks and dodging. So right here, Goku goes in for a move, for a kick with the Zanzo-ken. He jumps, he leaps. I can picture the sound effects from the anime in my head as I watch this. And this is what I mean by the fights have a different feel to them. I love how right? Like, look at the panel in the upper left, dude. Goku and Namu just straight up like face to face, just
Yeah, it's when the fight breaks up.
it's
You
beautiful,
see that
man.
happen. Yeah, you see that like stereotypically a lot.
And here we have them each try and deliver blows on each other, like, and the full color editions. Like I said, you can read them in black and white or in color, either version. The original version's in black and white, but the way they did it in color here with the different types of backgrounds, actually, I think adds to it. And
It does.
in a weird way, like in my head, I sort of create my own anime. And it might look like the Dragon Ball anime, but it doesn't because of the
That's the
backgrounds being
purpose of
different.
manga. That's the entire purpose of manga, and people overlook that quite a bit. They think that everything is supposed to be described to you in like meticulous detail, but no, you're supposed to kind of put your imagination to work. It's like part of the fun of reading manga.
Same thing with books, even regular books. You're reading
Yeah.
about if you're reading a book about like a zombie, you're thinking about the zombie and how it would look in your brain.
Yeah, what I like is the usage of red for particular panels.
And yellow, because it pops.
Yeah, yellow's cool too, but like for example, in the last couple pages, there's a page where Goku's angrily throwing his palm forward, and they choose to use red for that, and I think that that's very appropriate.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with that nom panel. It's just every once in a while that red background really does help illustrate like either like worry, danger, or anger, or any of those things very well.
Devion Johnson says the artists fire every panel I could wear on a t-shirt. I agree with that. And that's not just this part of Dragon Ball. I think there are multiple parts of Dragon Ball throughout the years, from the very beginning all the way to the end of the manga, that you could rip out and use for t-shirts.
Now, what I love about this is where Goku really starts to shine as a martial artist. You know what I mean? Like this fight particularly.
Unpack that for us.
This fight particularly you could tell that Goku is like being creative on the fly, and he's like, innovating himself as a martial artist as he's fighting. And you start to see like Goku's actual potential as like a creative martial artist, figuring out different techniques, because martial arts isn't just fighting. It's like a lot of strategy, and that's what techniques are for. And you can see that Goku is putting a lot of thought into how he's going to knock him out of the ring. And the rest of the fights previous, Goku has kind of been on a different level in comparison to the fighters that he's been facing. And so he hasn't really felt the need to like be creative and like do cool stuff. But in this fight, you could tell that like Toriyama had it set up to where, this guy is somewhat of a challenge. So that way Goku can be creative and do some cool stuff in the paneling.
The first round fights were all like fast comedy, like one hit knockout type of things. This fight and the Krillin versus Jackie Chun fight are like the beginning of the actual fight. Yeah.
It's where Toriyama really is like, oh, I can do all of these crazy stuff in these panels because these two fighters are, not just there isn't a huge gap between the two. I can really take advantage of that and start doing creative and cool things in each panel.
And in the later tournaments, it's even more so. So let me answer this question from Changster. He says, does Master Roshi's disguise have anything to do with Master Mutaito? Because Jackie Chun and Mutaito look similar. It's not anything to do with him as far as he's trying to look like his master, but both Mutaito and Jackie Chun are supposed to have the look of old school kung fu martial artists like that. Like Toriyama's basically the way he designed Jackie Chun and even Roshi, they're the same person, right? The way he designed them is different because it's two different like tropes of martial arts instructors. And Mutaito's another one, bro. There's different, most of them have like facial hair, some have a little bit of a goatee, some have a full out beard.
Go watch some kung fu movies. You'll see characters that look so ridiculously similar,
like Dragon Ball. Yeah. Go out there and try to find movies from the Shaw Brothers or some of Jackie Chan's early shit, and then like once you watch it, if you actually understand Dragon Ball, if you're not one of these geeks, these fucking morons who only watch Z and don't understand the whole story, if you actually know Dragon Ball and you watch any of those old movies, you're going to see a lot of jokes not only inspired by, but straight up stolen from Jackie Chan movies by Toriyama.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's more of a tribute.
Yeah.
Justin Sullivan says, on a more positive light, I played Final Fantasy IV for the first time and loved almost every second of it. Easily one of the best video games I've ever played. Yes, Final Fantasy IV is thank you for the super chat, is my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. I played that game right before the beginning of the school year when I was a little kid, and I wound up getting insomnia and couldn't sleep the day before the first day of school because of that fucking game. That game gave me insomnia, dude.
That'll happen, man. That'll happen.
That game, it doesn't happen to me anymore, but when I was younger, bro, these video games, bro, especially these RPGs, like you don't want to stop playing them, bro. It's like 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. You're still at it, you know?
Yep.
It's crazy. Welcome to the Mangalorian Volume 4. So, Goku using this tornado move, very similar to what Paikuhan would use in the anime later on. But Nam is not a joke, and he knocks Goku on his ass, which I thought was awesome. Look at this awesome paneling here. Look at how Toriyama, this man's a fucking genius, bro. Rest in peace, Toriyama. Look at what he did here to illustrate how high, not how high I am, because I'm very high, but to illustrate how high Namu's jump is. He literally takes the entire side of the panel and leaps up. Look at that. It takes up the entire page to show you how high he's fucking jumping. There were so many ways he could have done this, but he chose to do it this way to really illustrate how high he's jumping.
Yeah. Also, this is the page where you get to find out the pun behind Namu's name. It actually says, like, right there in the bottom right-hand corner.
Well, it's the technique. Yeah, he does the Namu. This is actually the end of the chapter. The Namu Abida Butsu, and it says is a Buddhist chant for mercy before death. It's also a phrase from which Namu's name comes. Yeah, because Namu I think means mercy or something like that.
Yeah,
so he's a good man. He's somebody who I wish would have come back. Like if they ever do like quasi retcon it to where Oob is from the same village as him, which has been a fan theory that even Toyotaro drew it, that maybe that's what happened. I would love it if there was a way to bring him back even as a cameo in the current era of Dragon Ball with Oob. I think that would be great.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
And I agree, games and movies, the anime version was awesome. We watched that over on Twitch. We're on the Piccolo arc over on Twitch, so we're way ahead of the curve. Chapter 45, the Great Midair Battle. Goku there. I love this classic image. Goku's there. Here comes Namu from the skies. Right here, you see the hands right in the middle panel there around Goku's neck. Goku's missing a tooth there. He's about to get rocked, and he is selling the throat because this hurt him real bad, but it didn't knock him out. And then Namu again jumping up to the air. Once again, look at the right. Toriyama's using that panel to illustrate how high he's leaping. And then the Goku one right next to it, bro. Look at the Goku one right next to it. The way he draws his hair moving back to illustrate the speed. Dude, you got to really know your shit to draw those kind of angles.
Yeah, everything about this paneling and like what he's trying to portray here is just legendary. It's just awesome.
And it
reminds me a lot of like a video game, you know, whenever they jump in the air and they do like Akuma when he like kicks from the sky, like he'll jump real high in the air and then he'll kick downwards. So like it reminds me a lot of that type of stuff. Yeah,
no, for sure. It's just very well done. Let me get the super chat here. Xavier says, when it comes to the anime after someone watches Dragon Ball, should they watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Z Kai? You're going to ask 50 people, and they're all going to give you a different answer.
Yeah.
For me, I say just watch Dragon Ball Z because if you're watching, here's why. If you're watching Dragon Ball in Japanese, which I've already said maybe 100 million times is the only way to watch the series properly, there's no point in switching over to Kai because Kai is something you want to watch if you want to watch the dub because of how good the Kai dub is. Yeah. But Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were produced in the same timeline by a lot of the same people with the same music, same like voice actors. So Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and even GT is like one big series, and I don't know how
Yeah,
many times I have to say this.
It has a particular feel to it that Kai doesn't have.
Right. That's exactly my point. A particular feel to it. You could maybe go to Kai, but I wouldn't. I would just straight up watch Z. It is more episodes.
In my opinion, I guess it just is based on your attention span.
Well,
Because like
yeah.
if you can't handle like a lot of filler and a lot of the extra content,
But Dragon Ball has a lot of that too. It's just awesome.
That's true, and it is awesome. I agree with you. I think there's just certain people who like Kai because it cuts out the filler. I personally like the filler. There's filler
I like some of the filler, but I hate other filler. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do have mixed feelings on it, but I do think that if you're gonna like experience the whole thing like a Dragon Ball fan from back in the day, the original Z is probably the way to go.
You should be coming on my streams also and fucking on Twitch, because that's what we're doing. And we're watching Dragon Ball and then later Z and then GT whenever the time comes. So it is what it is. I was reading that what this guy said right here. I always thought that Dragon Ball sounds awesome in Japan and English, but the anime sounds weird in Korean. I've never heard the Korean dub, so I can't comment. Either. Yeah, there are a lot of different dubs out there in different languages. I was
watching the Filipino dub the other day just because it's funny.
Yeah, but that's an English dub also, and it's so stupid and goofy. But like, there are this show, right? The anime has been released in so many fucking languages. There's a German dub. There's a French dub. There's multiple Spanish dubs. There's 5 Spanish dubs and 1 Latin American Mexican dub. There's a Danish dub. There's an Arabic dub. There's so many Chinese, Mandarin. And the fucking wild shit, bro, is that some of those dubs are actually really accurate to the original story. They don't fuck with the shit. While others completely butcher it, bro.
Yeah, the Z-Force, bro.
Bro, have you ever heard like the Portuguese dub, how fucking weird it sounds?
I actually checked it out. Yeah, I checked it out because I was just out of curiosity looking at a bunch of different dubs.
Yeah, I did that too out of curiosity to hear how they sounded, like how Goku sounded. Because one thing I love about the Big Green dub, everybody says they want, or not everybody, but the morons who are like dub fans are like, I want Goku not to sound like a girl. Bro, the guy who plays Goku in the Big Green dub sounds like a 35-year-old drunken father, bro. And I love it. I love it. Goku's like, Gohan. He's like, what does he say? He's like, how does it go? Gohan, you and Big Green, come help me out. Like, he has a super deep fucking voice, and it's so not Goku, but it's what people think they want Goku to sound like. Goku's not supposed to sound like a fucking deep voiced man. He's just not. And don't even sit here and tell me that, oh, you know, he needs to have a man's tough voice. Why don't you go up to fucking Mike Tyson? You know how Mike Tyson talks? Mike Tyson does not have a tough voice. Go up to Mike Tyson and talk that shit and see what happens, bro. Go look at Mike Tyson in the 80s, bro, what he used to do to motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So here in this part of the manga, yeah, don't say that to Mike Tyson. This part of the manga, is it's the midair battle. Like, they're just at this point, nobody can fly in Dragon Ball. We don't even meet a character that can fly with Bukujutsu until the 22nd tournament with Tenshin Han and Chaozu. Yeah, nobody knows how to fly now, so all they do is jump high. Now, again, I want to once again talk about this paneling. Look at the paneling on the far right. That double knockout, like he really nailed the speed and the height, and yet was still able to fit 2 panels right next to it to tell more of the story. I think some artists would have just used the entire page to show Goku and Nam coming down. Like, you know, that panel on the right would have been the entire page and more centered. No, Toriyama only shows it for half the page, and the other half he sneaks in 2 more panels. So I don't even know what more can be said about this man.
Yeah, he's definitely a genius. And this whole like high stakes thing with during its era it's so great.
This right here is phenomenal too. The bounce over and the kick is lovely. Shamar says Green Dub Goku sounds like Thor. Yeah, a little bit. Not exactly, but
Old school Thor, like old school, not
yeah, the grovelly angry
yeah,
man voice. Yeah, it doesn't sound like Goku would. You know, Goku's not an angry person, bro. Goku only gets angry when you kill his fucking friends. Other than that, he's fucking chill.
yeah.
Like Goku's just chill, bro. So Goku with that big ass kick tosses Namu out of the ring, and now it's up to now we're at the finals. Finally, Goku versus Jackie Chun.
This is where Jackie starts to notice how fast Goku is growing as a martial artist too. Like you can see it on his face. Like he's like, whoa. Like he knows he's stronger than Goku, but Goku is like strategically
He's
and
catching up fast.
yeah, he's gaining.
And the thing is, when you study, so this is gonna sound like religion, but in some ways it is. When you study Dragon Ball thoroughly, right, and you start looking at like when you study the manga, right? You can do the anime too, but the manga from start to finish, right? Hear me out. Hear me out for a minute when we talk about like the like understanding the entire story, right? What I'm trying to get at is Roshi / Jackie Chun, Muten Roshi is the strongest character in the series all the way until the 22nd tournament when he realizes that both Goku and Tenshin Han surpassed him. And that's what leads to the conversation with Roshi and Tenshin Han that converts Tien from being a bad guy to a good guy. Right?
Yep.
So that is such a crucial moment because right after that, Roshi goes, I think my time has come and gone. I think we need new people now to be in charge. Like, so basically what he's saying is the Earth needs 2 new heroes and he can't be the hero anymore because his time came and went. Goku and Tenshin Han have surpassed him. Where does that lead us? Directly into the Piccolo arc, where not only does Muten Roshi die, and it affected Goku and Tien. Tien and him go on a side quest, and they kind of bonded. You know, they bonded a lot more than they did in the 22nd tournament. I love how in the Piccolo arc, which we're watching right now on Twitch, it ends up being Goku and Tenshin Han as the final 2 heroes to protect the Earth against Piccolo. The 2 finalists from the 22nd tournament become the 2 main protagonists because Roshi is axed. It's kind of like in Star Wars, the first Star Wars, how Obi-Wan is like, I'm getting far too old for this sort of thing. Like he wants to train Luke to take his place. That's kind of what's happening here in the Dragon Ball world.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening.
But we're not there yet. Yeah, we're only on chapter 46. We're not there yet. So this part right here is I like it. It's bonding with Namu and Goku and like the respect that they have. And
this is where Roshi shows his compassionate side and gives him what he needs despite the fact that he lost. What I love about this is it really shows like Roshi's respect for his attitude as a person, because he does point out earlier in the manga that he's not necessarily he's like one of the people in the tournament who's not a bad guy and has pure intentions and wants to help his village, and Roshi respects that, and that's the reason he helps him out here.
Yeah, and it's a great moment for both of them. Namu entered the tournament because he needed water for his village, and the anime has an entire extra episode about it after the tournament. But even in this episode, when the manga was adapted to the anime, they actually show like a flashback of Namu. And this is the shit I love about the anime filler. This is why I'm telling you to watch Dragon Ball Z and not Kai, because the filler adds layers. During this conversation you see on your screen in the anime, we actually see Namu leaving his village, waving goodbye, talking to the villagers, saying, I'm going to win this tournament, and the money that I'm going to win, I'm going to use to bring water. So he entered the tournament for purely selfless reasons. He entered the tournament to help out his village. And that's a beautiful, beautiful story. Like, he's a great character. He's a
He
good
is.
guy. Like, and it is a very like Eastern thing, especially when you play RPGs and shit, for people to be nice and solve other people's problems. And here we have Roshi kind of doing it for him, even though he didn't win the tournament. He gave him a capsule filled with water.
Yeah, it's, good deeds don't go unpunished in most cases in Dragon Ball.
Yeah. So here we are with the finale. Son Goku versus Jackie Chun. Let me real quick get this super chat from Justin Sullivan. He said, dude, I wish we could get an anime adaptation for Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy, he's still marking out over this fucking game. Final Fantasy IV is the entry that truly got the series, so that's why I think it should be adapted for TV or streaming. Yeah,
that would be cool.
I can't argue that. I love that game, bro. Now, Final Fantasy V does have an anime. There was an anime OVA that came out in like the mid 90s. It was called like Final Fantasy The Quest for the Crystals or something like that. And it was like sort of loosely based on 5, but never 4. So Roshi and Goku. Now, again, there's a martial arts movie where a master entered the tournament to teach Goku to humble Goku. And I like that Toriyama chose to actually use this tournament and still have Roshi be relevant, because one of the things that he could have done that would have been super easy is to pull basically what we see in other media like Kung Fu movies and even The Karate Kid and introduce a new character like he did for the next tournament for Goku to overcome. Yeah. He did it for Tien in the second tournament, Ma Jr. Piccolo in the 23rd tournament, and then later on in the Majin Buu saga, we see it again. Because that's when they introduced the Popovich. And so Toriyama knows how to use tournaments to introduce villains. And then we have Jiren, who's not a villain, but he was a new character invented just for Goku to overcome him. That's what Roshi is. And I love this panel right here, chapter 47, this cover page, where it says Kamehameha, and it's the 2 different versions of Roshi. And again, they're both based on different martial arts masters. He's got that goofy toupee on.
Yes, one's Subhuiti and one's like an old Jackie Chan, essentially. Like supposed to be like an old Jackie Chan.
There was, I forget the guys' names, but early in Jackie Chan's career, he worked with the same 2 guys over and over again, and they would pop up in all his movies, but I forgot their name. If anybody in the chat knows the name of the characters that Jackie Chan, the actors Jackie Chan worked with early in his career, again, there was a trio. It was Jackie Chan and 2 other guys, and I forget who it was.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Right. So this tournament starts off red hot. They don't even like take time to like test each other. Obviously, in the anime, it's a little bit slower. I wouldn't say it's bad. This is the first fight. This fight, I believe, is 2 episodes. No, it's 4 episodes. It's 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's 4.
This fight by itself is 4 episodes. That's the first fight in Dragon Ball history that's 4 episodes. And as the series progresses into Dragon Ball and then, the Piccolo arc and then Dragon Ball Z, these big final battles end up being multiple episodes. The Frieza fight was like 10 episodes. The Cell fight was like, I think 8. Like Gohan versus Cell, I think was 8 episodes or 9. You know what I mean? It ends up being a long finale, but it's kind of smart because it keeps people tuned in.
Well, what's the point in sitting and waiting for the climax if it's just an instant? People want a long ending. They want a lot of action for their ending, and Dragon Ball has always been really good at satisfying people in that way. So
yeah, well, it's also a thing where it, like I said, it does prolong the anime, so it gives them more time to make more episodes and get paid. But
I think power scaling helps with that too, because it gives you an excuse to make the fight longer and more interesting because, again, people are relative to each other. Normally by the end of the big battle or whatever, like Gohan and Cell, people are relative enough to each other that they can do cool things. And I think that that's just overall, it's just really creative story dynamics to have,
I agree
there
with you,
be
Justin.
for there to be like big gaps in power early on in the story, and then people get closer and closer and closer together, so you can make it more epic as you're building up the story. I think that concept as a storyteller is just like really cool.
I agree with Killmonger as well. I mean, the thing is, in order to make it feel epic, and the multiple episodes help space out the different strategic maneuvers of each fighter. Because one of the things that I noticed Dragon Ball does is each episode, if you actually, and again, this is kind of the advanced class of Dragon Ball. If you actually watch and understand Dragon Ball, and I'm not saying that people in the chat don't, I'm sure some of them do, I'm sure some of them don't. That's okay. If you do, you understand this, and if you don't, you can always learn it. When you watch Dragon Ball and there's multiple episodes, each episode has like a theme to it. So usually the way it works is, for example, Goku versus Frieza, the first fight before he transforms, when he's in his base form, the first episode of that fight is them just fucking around testing each other. The second episode is the same thing, but with ki blasts. And that's when they both realize we're not going to fuck around. The third episode is when Frieza says, I'm going to put my hands behind my back and not use them. Like, there's a little story with every episode, a little like mini story to advance the fight. Toriyama was so good at making these fights that progress like story, like mini story beats within the fight, different strategies. Yeah. And Naruto and One Piece completely copied that formula, but it worked. It worked for them.
I think Toriyama's experience as a one-shot artist, because he did a lot of like one-shot stories prior to his career with Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. And I think that's another reason that like Viz Media, for example, takes in one-shots for submissions, because if you can successfully navigate the waters of a one-shot manga, that's essentially how you establish the skills you need to construct an entire a story that's interesting from beat to beat, because constructing it in a way that's similar to a one shot makes everything interesting in each individual chapter, rather than making all the focus the beginning or the ending, or
yeah. And this was the first fight that started that. Like, this fight is actually legendary because all of the formula for future fights in Dragon Ball and Z started here. Early on, of course, they're dicking around and they have a few teases. Here we have Goku using his tail like a helicopter. Yeah. Something that Sonic the Hedgehog would also copy from Dragon Ball is the fact that Miles, aka Tails, can do that with his tail, but Goku did it before Tails was even created.
Man, this dude just pioneered everything. It's insane.
But I'm just saying, bro, Sonic fucking I mean, that's obvious Sonic copied it.
Yeah, Street Fighter, Sonic, I mean, it's crazy.
Dragon Ball has inspired so much, and what I love about it that's kind of crazy, bro, is that it itself is inspired by so much. I tell my friends that are movie fans, like cinephiles, that the reason why they would like Dragon Ball is purely based on the fact that there are so many movie references to both Eastern and Western cinema. So even if you're just reading the manga to pick up on all the movie references, especially in the next arc, because the next arc is all James Bond and fucking action movie themed, right? Like themed from like Western action films. Like, you pick up on so many little things, that I think increase the enjoyment. I love movies, that. Yeah, I consider myself somewhat of a cinephile, although I don't watch everything. And that's why I say somewhat of a cinephile. But so when I see like Dragon Ball borrowing from something, I love it. And then when I see something borrowing from Dragon Ball, I appreciate that too.
Well, it shows that Toriyama had an appreciation for movies and the directors and things like that. Like he
loved movies.
Yeah, well, he was studying what makes media entertaining, and you could see that. He was, people could say what they want about Toriyama, but he was actively studying what makes media entertaining, and you can actually see that, like, in Dragon Ball. Like he put a lot of thought and study into how to actually make Dragon Ball entertaining. Like he put a lot of effort.
Right, but it's also natural. I think the thing with Toriyama, when I did my research for that video I put out in April, that kind of surprised me is that this motherfucker kind of self-taught himself everything in a way.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have, like, he had mentors, but it wasn't like somebody taught him how to draw his style. He literally created this style. Now, I will say, if you're familiar with the history of manga, you know that Goku is modeled after Astro Boy. So that's probably the real, like, I mean, that's the original Japanese manga. That's probably the real inspiration for Goku.
Even then, that's him taking from one of the most popular characters in Japanese manga and using that as a tool to make Dragon Ball entertaining and appealing to the reader, you know?
Well, it's awesome because, like, people in Japan recognize Astro Boy and they recognize Journey to the West, and Goku just combined them to make, Toriyama combined them to make Goku. Yeah. This right here with the Kamehameha beam struggle, this is the first beam struggle in the history of the series. Once again, we're making history. Once again, this fucking fight is the revolutionary fight that every fight past it would copy. This is where the formula began. This is the foundation. Here we have them. And I love that Toriyama just uses 4 panels for all of it. Big, nice, thick pieces of art. You can take these 2 pieces of art up here and make them into a poster. And here we have the beam struggle, which Toriyama chose to have the entire panel. Now, what's interesting is in the anime/manga, in the anime, they're over here doing the beam struggle and they're holding on like, it's like back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
But here, based on the pacing, it looks like once the beams collided, there was so much power that it just knocked them both back. Because look at how in the very next page, they're knocked back. So I wonder if Toriyama intended this beam struggle to be a quick bounce back because of how strong they are.
It seems that way. It seems like he wanted like a shockwave effect. If you look at
a shock, an explosion effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's crazy as to how good, like, this guy was. And he uses different. Nicholas is talking about how he likes the blue one. Well, Dragon Ball uses blue, yellow, red. It uses all kinds of colors for a key. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I think the blue is more iconic, but key is generally yellow, and I think that's cool. I like the consistency of key being yellow.
Yeah, it's common.
Yeah, but I do think that blue is definitely the more iconic for the Kamehameha.
Well, for Super Saiyan Blue, now it's become like what it is, like now that's what it is. So, so right here, the chapter ends, and I love how for chapter 48, we have Goku there in a Porsche that Toriyama designed with the license plate P911 Capsule Corp. Toriyama and his vehicles. That is a very nice looking Porsche, bro. It's Toriyama-fied, so it looks kind of fat, but it's nice. With Goku sticking his tongue out of the people behind him, bro. Disrespectful boy. So we continue this battle here. What a great fucking fight, dude. This is a great fight. This is so far, the final battle has been a furious show-stopping fight. The two have been entirely neck and neck up to now. Or should I say Son Goku, who has been smiling and enjoying this battle so far, seems to still have yet to go all out. So something I want to briefly discuss with you that we've talked about in other videos is this idea of like Saiyans being a warrior race. So this is one of the more clever ideas Toriyama had put into his manga, because you have to understand when the early Dragon Ball was being written, right? Toriyama did not intend for Goku to be an alien from a fighting race. No. When Goku says, I'm enjoying this battle, right? Later on, it was retconned, retroactive continuity, that Goku enjoys battles because he's an alien from a race that likes to fight. But the original context prior to that twist was that Goku was the consummate martial artist who challenges other people to make himself better and to learn. This is something that is, I'm going to just say it, bro. This is a very masculine trait. As men, We were put on Earth to be competitors. Goku is a competitor. Fuck the whole Saiyan shit and like all this. Like, we can put that aside for a moment. Even if Goku is just a human, as a character, he is naturally competitive and wants to fight everybody. Not kill them, just see how good he is compared to them. Even before the Saiyan retcon happened, that was the purpose of it. Can you speak to that?
Well, yeah. Well, also, I'm going to bring the Monkey King into this, of course.
Well, that's what I knew you were going to do.
So early in Journey to the West, Sun Wukong enjoys killing. He enjoys being bloodlusted, and that's like where he gets his enjoyment. And Raditz,
sort of like Goku and Red Ribbon, but not really. Go ahead.
Raditz kind of like hints at this at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z when he's like, "Why aren't you killing people? Why don't you enjoy killing people? That doesn't make any sense because that's how we Saiyans are. Like we get our thrill from killing people." Well, towards the latter end of the story, after Sun Wukong becomes a Buddhist martial artist, he's constantly like begging Tripitaka and the people around him to go get to fight demons because he just enjoys fighting demons. It becomes less about enjoying killing people around him and more
more like a sport.
Yeah, he enjoys just the thrill of combat of like facing demons. So that's also what this is playing on. But the reason it's playing on that is because the Monkey King himself is supposed to be a representation of your ego as a martial artist. You take your ego, your malicious intentions as a martial artist, and you take them and you turn them into something productive. Instead of enjoying hurting your opponent and building up your ego, you enjoy the thrill of battle and the thrill of improving yourself as a martial artist. It's a pure desire to just want to be stronger, and not to want to like actively hurt your opponent or do things with malicious intentions.
And later it became a Saiyan thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, entire species based around that concept.
Entire planet, yeah. And then Vegeta came in as somebody who can relate to Goku with that, but does not have the purity of Goku, so he has his own arc. Goku so Sun Wukong has a character arc in Journey to the West. Goku has one in Dragon Ball, and so does Vegeta. And they're somewhat similar arcs. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar in that they become better people and more humble when everything is said and done. I agree with Games and Movies, what he says here. Top side says Goku's story seems to be just pushing his limits. He likes the rush. That's it. I mean, that's part of it. It's just him fighting to get better. So... Yeah. And Roshi's the antithesis. Here's a big kick. Goku hits the wall. Roshi's over here just shocked as to how much punishment Goku can take. It's the Zanzuzoken, which is the enhanced Zanzuzoken that actually outsmarted him. This part right here goes back to being somewhat comedic, but this is all Jackie Chan shit. This fight was, if you want to see, here's the suggestion for everyone. If you want to see this fight before this fight happened, watch Drunken Master. Watch Jackie Chan's Drunken Master. Like there are parts of that movie that I feel like are directly inspiring like this stuff.
Yeah,
you know, Drunken Master is like that's like the movie for somebody to say, can you describe a movie that's like Dragon Ball? That one's like the most.
Yeah, that's
especially early Dragon Ball. Yeah. So first of all, I love Roshi chopping Goku from behind and his eyes being like bulging out. I love that. It looks like Ren from Ren and Stimpy. And I love down here where he's becoming an animal and shit.
He's turning into his original demon self.
Which, yeah, but elaborate on the demon thing, because I don't want people in the chat to think that Goku is literally a demon. It's not that Goku is, that Wukong is.
Yeah, Wukong himself was only a demon because they believe in Chinese philosophy. Whenever your survival instincts are activated and it has an effect on your conscious thoughts and your actions, that's essentially you giving into your inner demon. So the entire purpose of martial arts within the Asian context is to implement your inner demons as a weapon. Bruce Lee talks about this in his book, The Tao of Kung Fu. Sun Wukong is a literal example of this. When your heart starts pumping and adrenaline and your survival instincts are dominating your brain, when your ego is in full control of your actions, that is considered demonic within the Asian context, because your ego is like essentially where all evil comes from within the Asian context. So Bruce Lee talks about in his book about how
Killmonger, that's a filler episode, bro. You should let go of that whole shitty husband thing. Go ahead.
You take advantage of your fight or flight reflexes to fight in the most efficient way humanly possible. And that's essentially what Goku is doing here, is he's using the heat of battle to throw himself into like a random, like animal-like state where he can completely confuse Roshi and throw him off guard. And this is essentially, it is a Sun Wukong reference, but it's also a reference to what Sun Wukong himself represents in martial arts, which is our inner, our animal instincts that we can implement and use as a weapon in combat. So
I do want to elaborate on that, on something Killmonger said. Well, first of all, bro, there's no canon. Second of all, Goku didn't stand up his fucking wife, bro. He helped out the bird with the eggs because it was the right thing to do. Like, Goku to himself, his mentality is, I'm going to help these defenseless animals, and I'm still going to go hang out with my family, but I got to get this done first. Hold on. If I'm driving to a party, right? Let's say I'm going to a party, right? Let's say I walk outside and I see a cat is fucking crying and shit. And if I take a few minutes to like bandage up the cat, take care of the cat's wound or whatever, does that make me a bad guy? Of course not, bro. Like, you think like I hate, like, how does that make him a bad husband if he was just helping out the fucking animals, bro? Like, that's why Chi-Chi loves him, bro, because he's a good man. That's why she loves him.
He's pure heart. He's pure of heart.
Fuck, bro. Like, she's perfectly fine with him being late, even though she's annoyed, right? But she's more
Johnny Topside says he is more of a demigod, not exactly a demon.
That's actually he's talking about Wukong.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a misconception. So there are demigods in Journey to the West, Taoist deities who fall from heaven and become demons all the time. That's what Pigsy is. That's what Sandy is. And Sun Wukong would just implement his demon form as a weapon to defeat his opponents. So he is you're right in the sense that he is more of a demigod. He isn't born a demon, but when his anger takes over his actions, he becomes a demon.
But something that I think needs to be made clear, because I don't think a lot of folks know this. Sun Wukong is not so. Yes, Goku is based on Sun Wukong. That's obvious. But in Journey to the West, Wukong is not a good guy. Wukong is actually more like Vegeta than Goku, but he later on becomes like Goku.
That's right.
So Wukong is basically, I guess, an anti-hero. He does a lot of bad things. He sins. He's much more edgy than Goku. But the whole reason as to why Goku's like this is Toriyama's basing Goku on the tail end of Wukong's life, like not the beginning.
That's right. He's Sun Wukong post character development. It's like the best
Killmonger, that's what we're doing here, bro. We're doing it here. Go ahead.
He's like the most altruistic version of Sun Wukong you can imagine, essentially.
I wouldn't let that annoy you, bro, because like I said, Goku helping out the birds is just an example of Goku, who he is as a man, and I like that. That's why Chi-Chi loves him, because he does things. That's why everyone loves him, bro. Yeah. Okay, so moving on, that Fury move actually worked, and we're now at chapter 49, Jackie Chun's counterattack. This is a great series of chapters. Now is when Roshi goes from defensive to offensive, and here you see it again, the incredible art. He's focused, trying to connect with Goku. Goku's fast. This is the moment where like Roshi starts to figure that Goku's going to eventually surpass him because of how quick and how skillful Goku is in this fight. He hasn't surpassed him yet, but he knows that it's coming. Were you going to say something?
Oh no, this fight's very, I don't know. I think Roshi's really good. Cool. I think Roshi particularly is cool in this fight because he starts pulling out all of these like awesome techniques, but Goku is also pulling out his own techniques that throw Roshi off. So I don't know. The dynamics between the two fighters I think are really cool. It's obvious that Goku doesn't have a chance and that Roshi could beat him anytime. But I like that they're using that as a means to have Goku innovate, which is causing Roshi to innovate, because that's that's the dynamic that really makes martial arts films work. When one martial artist is challenging another martial artist, he has to use a new technique.
Yeah, it's
to make
chess.
up.
It's like chess.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And wrestling, a good wrestling match does similar stuff to that as well. That kind of in-ring storytelling. Somebody in the chat said, Brother Ship said, did they delete your first hello? I haven't deleted anybody's like chats tonight, like none. I've just been reading, so I have not deleted anybody's anything. Not tonight, anyways. So Goku appears to be knocked out and tired. Bulma basically encourages him because it's time to eat, waking him up and getting him excited. This fight is a great mix of comedy and action. Again, like I mentioned before, it is Drunken Master. I mean, that's what it is. The series does not really get dark until the very, very, very beginning of the Piccolo arc / the end of Red Ribbon. Sorry, the end of the 22nd tournament. That's when the series gets really dark. But I like this type of combat just as much, especially since I know where it came from. Chapter 50, Goku's Crisis. So how many, Jordan, is this fight like 6-7 chapters, bro? It's long.
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5. If I'm not mistaken when I was looking through it, but yeah, it's pretty long. So far, it's 4 or 5. I think it stops at like 6.
Games and movies. I already did a review on that dub on World of Geekdom. I already saw it dubbed. Yeah. Now, something I love here is to illustrate the passage of time, to illustrate how long this fight actually has been going on. Now we're at dusk. Now the sun is setting, bro, and I love that that the sun is setting as the fight progresses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Because the sunset look, like that orange sky, gives the fight a different vibe. Goku versus Vegeta, parts of it had that sunset going on. Not all of it, but parts of it did. So this is where basically Jackie Chun tells Goku that he fought with Grandpa Gohan. And yeah, that they have a connection. Now, this technique right here that Roshi is about to fire, right? Bankoku Bikuri Sho. I don't remember what it's called in the dub, but this technique or whatever, did I do a technique guy? I think I either did one or I was gonna do one, because I think this is one of the most underrated.
I think you did do one, because I remember you talking about it. I very distinctly remember you talking about this scene. I'm not sure if it was in a technique guide, but I do remember you very distinctly talking about this.
Yeah, me too. I remember it too. Maybe it was during the episode, but yeah, this is going to be a big moment right here in the tournament. By the way, I guess in the chat, Xavier said, "Thunder surprise." John Myers, the tournament's going to go on until somebody wins at this point. So the Thunder Surprise move, or what it's really called, is the Bankoku Bikuru Sho. It's meant to freeze Goku in place so he can't move. There is a version of this move that Goku does in the Broly movie called it's called the God Bind, where Goku grabs Broly and freezes him in place with God Ki and senses his heart and is able to see if Roshi, he says lightning flash surprise. I mean, thunder surprise. Yeah, something like that, bro. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so Goku's like holding Broly and he's like, you're not a bad guy or whatever. This is similar to that, although not the same thing, because the Goku one uses God Ki and it allows Goku to sense what's in Broly's heart, whereas this is just meant to paralyze Goku.
Right.
He's trying to see how Roshi / Jackie says, "Say I give." He wants Goku to submit to this move because he's being electrified. But guess what happens? Goku looks at the moon, and you know what happens when he looks at the moon. Here go the panels, and in the anime, it was that bunkada, 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 right? And then literally we witnessed Goku transforming right in the middle of the fight with the sun setting. Here comes the moon. And then we have the return of Uzaru Goku. The fact that Toriyama brought back the Grade 8 form for this tournament, I think was a ballsy move because he didn't have to do that. And yet he did it to add drama to the fight.
Right. Yeah. Also, this is a repeating thing that happens in the story where Goku transforms in like a super high stakes situation. This is the first time that happens too. Like in a fight scenario.
Yeah, and it's I thought it happens a few times later on, but I thought it was definitely like he didn't have to do that. He could have just kept the fight going, but he wanted to do an interesting twist to see how Roshi would handle a Grade 8. I actually like that because then you're going into chapter 51 here saying, well, what the hell's going to happen now? Goku might kill everybody. Is Puar going to fucking cut his tail off? So here we are, chapter 51, the Tenkaichi Budokai Chaos. So it starts out with Roshi still shocking a Grade 8 Goku. But remember, the Grade 8 power gives you a 10 times multiplier. And before you ask the question, I do believe very much that if Roshi had to fight Grade 8 Goku, Grade 8 Goku would destroy him. That's why Roshi had to do something else, because as a Grade 8, Goku is not only unpredictable, but he's super powerful.
Yeah, and also at this point in the story, I don't think Toriyama was thinking about this as a multiplier at all.
Maybe not. You might be right. You might be right about that. That's actually probably the truth.
Yeah. I think he was just like, oh, Goku transforms into something unstoppable. That's what he was thinking in his mind.
Yeah, King Kong.
Yeah.
Toriyama, I think, didn't care about numbers at all.
No, that's more of a staff thing.
Well, I was gonna say until we get to Z. And I feel like the person who's probably most responsible is Kondo Yu, or Yu Kondo, the editor, because if I remember correctly, he was the guy who suggested to Toriyama that he use power levels. And that's why in the Saiyan and Frieza arcs, which is like two big arcs of the overall story, there's so much of a focus on numbers. But then Toriyama just drops it for the Cell Saga because he got tired of it. Because the numbers were getting so big, dude. Like in the Frieza saga, when Frieza hits the second form, they say his power level's over 1 million. So if you think about it, and the power levels have all been revealed in the guidebooks, Goku's power level was like 18 million or some insane number like that. And I think Toriyama was like, okay, if we move on with this with the Cell Saga and the way the scale's going to go, like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is like going to be at what, 210 billion or some shit. And I feel like it would, if the scouters are already breaking for like, remember, the scouters would break whenever there was too much power. So if the scouters were already breaking before we even hit all those millions, dude.
Yeah, they were breaking in like the cooler
thousands. Yeah, like the 5 figures. So Toriyama was smart to drop the power levels because they're unquantifiable. There's too many numbers. Like we're in the billions and trillions now.
Yeah.
You know? So I like here that Toriyama again uses big panels to illustrate the destruction. The power scaling to go over power levels. It was always scaling, bro. It's just not. It was always power scaling, but the power levels actually gave us definitive direction. Whereas scaling was something you could debate, and you had like ranges.
Yeah, it was a cool definitive way to like put some debate to rest
for a while. Yeah, I agree.
But it created more debate than it fixed.
In some ways, but I don't think Toriyama intended that. I think by the time we got to the Cell Saga, he was like, fuck this, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graveyard at a nightclub. Whole, like King Kong being let loose on the martial arts stage is dope. This whole thing. This was a great Toriyama really like this is kind of a repeat of the last ending, but I actually kind of like the Grade 8 placement here better than the previous ending, because like he's right there in the middle of civilization. There's a bunch of people around. This is like a formal event, and he was like the main focus of the tournament. And then all of a sudden he turns into this giant monster in front of everybody. And I don't know. I just think that's an amazing way to like wrap everything up. Even though it is very obvious, very similar to the last ending, I think this was a cool.
Well, I thought it was just like, oh, this is familiar. They know what this is. Let's just create a calamity for them to solve. That's the way I see it. What Unfading Resolve said in the chat, I put it on the screen right now, is pretty much how I feel about it. Like, I think he captured it pretty well. So again, Roshi is freaked out. Here we go with him taking off his clothes. So again, now we're seeing another throwback to an earlier chapter where now Jackie Chun's going to get buff. And again, remember, Goku doesn't even know that he's the same guy. And look right here, full power Kamehameha with the red background. And they're over here like, oh my God, he's going to kill Goku. They thought that the Kamehameha could have killed him.
There's also an overlooked thing there where Goku tries
art. Go ahead.
Goku tries to stomp on Roshi.
Yeah, it's right here.
That's literally how Grandpa Gohan died.
Right. We don't find that out yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that's a cool little connection that he just made there, because that's one of the first things Great Ape Goku tried to do to Roshi was stomp him out. So that's cool.
Yes, the guy Johnny Top says the whole werewolf scenario. Yeah, Toriyama borrowed the werewolf idea, but instead made it a giant King Kong ape. So it works though. Like, it works for Goku. And again, if it's supposed to be Sun Wukong, let's see. Do I actually make him a monkey boy that looks like a monkey? Well, that was one of the original designs for Goku, but instead Toriyama said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna make it a transformation."
Yeah, genius.
You know, that's it. You know, a power boost that didn't last forever.
Like a lot of people don't look at the Great Ape form this way, but this is actually how you're supposed to look at it, because the Great Ape like brings out people's inner demons in Chinese mythology and all this stuff. And Sun Wukong in his full demonic form was a giant raging ape. But that's really, Goku is like this pure good being, and the Great Ape form is like all of his it's like his evil, like
his anger.
Like, yeah, it's like everything that could be bad about Goku purified and like into a single entity. It's like such a cool concept. It's like Goku has like a split personality almost. It's really cool.
By the way, I should mention, I forgot to mention it earlier, that move that Roshi used to trap Goku, that move, I wrote this in the notes here, it's a pun on an old Japanese TV show called International Surprise Show, which is like a variety show that aired in Japan. So again, I say that just to say that a lot of Toriyama's references, and this is not the fault of the West, because Dragon Ball fans don't know any better. But there's a lot of Easter eggs in Dragon Ball that are completely, there's a lot of Easter eggs in Dragon Ball that are completely understandable to the Japanese that we don't get. For example, if we reverse it, let's say Toriyama was American. Let's say there was a reference to like Saturday Night Live in one of his manga. The fucking Japanese don't have a fucking clue what Saturday Night Live is. They have International Surprise Show. So like, it's no different than like if you read American comics, you've also got like little nods to real pop culture events. Like Trump was in a comic recently. That's not going to make any sense to the Japanese because they have their own culture. So again, Dragon Ball is Asian. You can't change that. So the best you can do is figure it out, you know?
It's always been pointed and aimed towards Japanese pop culture, and you know.
Yeah, it's not for us.
Yeah.
Dig under 14. We don't know if he can do it or not. Yeah, I think it's all instinct, as you said. That's what Jordan even said. So again, this is beautiful art here. People think Goku's dead. In fact, down here in the lower right, Goku's dead. But here we have him in the very next fucking panel, chapter 52.
I can just imagine reading this in Jump
for the first time, thinking Goku might actually be dead.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Because that was the cliffhanger. You had to wait a week to see what happened.
Yep. Wild.
I mean, it's smart. Something Tony Khan should learn. Dude,
I wish I could have. I wish I could have experienced that though. I just feel like people who got to experience that's just such a special thing.
The only thing you could do, and I've tried to do this, is try to set your brain back to that era.
Yeah.
You know, because in the Saturday, by the way, when I do the episodes where Goku goes to heaven with the Nyoibo, I want you there in the chat for that when we go on Twitch. I'll let you know when that is. I'll let you know when that is.
Journey to the West is based on an actual historical event. That's true.
It is, but they add mythology to it.
Yeah, but they make it mythological.
That was Megan Hassan. I mean, that happens a lot. Like that's a common thing. But I was gonna make a point. I'll let you know whenever that stream is. But okay, that's what I was gonna say. So the best thing you can do is put your head back there and try to forget what's coming later. Like try to not think about Z or Super or any of that shit, and try to put yourself in the story. Try to immerse yourself in the story, because I've been doing that for the Piccolo arc, and this is more enjoyable because if you watch Dragon Ball in order, you understand that? In order, right? And you disconnect yourself from what you know is coming, or at least try to. Not everybody can do this. You then start to pick up on the foundation of things, like this fight right here. Every future fight in Dragon Ball going into Z, going into the tournament, it's Megan, not Megan. It's Megan, not Megan. Is it Magan? Is it Magan? If it's Magan, type number 1. If it's Magan,
If it's Megan,
he said it's not Megan.
2.
If it's Megan, type 2.
If Megan, Megan, Magan. Oh my gosh.
1. Okay, so it's Magan.
Okay, it is. Okay,
so it is Magan. Okay.
All right. That makes sense.
Oh, this is before Z. Yeah. There is no fucking Z, bro. This is Dragon Ball. So, if you can put yourself in the story, you can then understand, like, you know, where everything started. Because, said, every major fight for after this is based on this fight, the formula.
This vehicle, this airplane that Goku is riding,
very World War II.
That is actually a prototype for Kintoon. So in the original 2 first prototype cuts of Dragon Ball,
I did a video about that called The Origin of Dragon Ball. It's on the channel right now. Go check it out. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first the design
the
where
drafts.
He looks more like, the first design where he looks more like Sun Wukong. He's riding one of those, and then there's another more Goku-esque design that comes after where he's also riding one of those. So that's a cool little deep cut too.
Yeah, the cloud is actually what Sun Wukong rides on, though. Like the cloud and the bow, the power pole, as they call it in the dub, that is what that's Wukong's weapon. Like, Nyoibo. Like, it really is like Toriyama taking this mythology, and it's sort of like, you know what it reminds me of? Have you obviously you know about this God of War. God of War does what Toriyama did with this. God of War takes Greek mythology and now Norse mythology and creates like an adventure story behind it. That's literally what Dragon Ball is doing, except not Greek mythology. It's more Eastern mythology.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, you see you covered up naked Goku. So we find out that Roshi blew up the moon, and that is the biggest feat we've seen in Dragon Ball up until this point. Killmonger, that I don't know if you know this, bro, but that was actually a fake story. That was a prank that went viral. Like, that never happened. When Toriyama died, and it wasn't the crimes dropping. He's talking about the thing where Toriyama died, the cartel like stopped attacking. You're very confused, man. That wasn't real. That was a joke that somebody made on Twitter that went viral. Like, people believed it, but the guy was just joking around. You know what I'm talking about, right? When Toriyama died and the cartel said a ceasefire?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. But it went viral. Everybody was looking at it thinking that it was like real. So now Goku is
back to Goku.
Is back to being his base form, and Krillin gives him his clothes. So he's basically back to wearing what he wore, you know. And the fight is still continuing here. And at this rate, Roshi can't even do a Kamehameha anymore. He's drained. Remember, he was holding up Goku in the fucking Bankoku Bikiru show for a while, and that took a lot of his energy. Yes, yeah. Mexicans do love Goku. Where in anything that I said, where did I ever say that Mexicans don't like Goku? I don't understand where anything I said would make you believe that. Nothing. Dragon Ball is more popular in Mexico than it is in America. That's a fact. So Goku still has some ki left, fires a Kamehameha to get Roshi to jump. Goku catches him coming and hits him. So the Kamehameha was used as a strategy to get Roshi to jump so that Goku could get him coming down. And right here, as you can see, it looks like Roshi's been eliminated, but that's not what's happening. He's got his foot stuck to the side of the stage. This is what Shawn Michaels did in the 1995 Royal Rumble. It's complete bullshit physics, but this is Dragon Ball. Toriyama's not eliminated. I'm sorry. Jackie is not eliminated because you have to hit the floor, and he did not hit the floor. As you can see.
Yeah.
So here we go now. Chapter 53, Climax. This fight took up a lot of chapters, but this was when the Dragon Ball manga really took off.
Yep.
This, because I think what happened is people saw the fight and wanted to see the ending, and they just kept, day after day after day.
Yeah, this was the hook. This is what hooked people in for sure.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Japanese audience were complaining that Goku didn't win. I didn't hear about that. I don't think that's true, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
There's a lot of lies about fans reacting to Toriyama stuff. That whole thing about how Goku's more popular than Gohan, that's not necessarily true, or at least it wasn't during the time of the Buu arc. Gohan was very popular. I think that Goku is more popular than Gohan now, but there was a time where Gohan was rivaling him. It might not have been a long time, but there was a time where the Japanese loved Gohan. That is yeah. And Games and Movies brings up Mezase Tenkaichi. Yeah, that was in the anime. They made that song for this tournament. Again, bro, the action shots, they're attacking each other. It says here the finale to the Tenkaichi Budokai has taken a very long time to finish. Toriyama's talking, breaking the fourth wall here because he knows people don't seem to understand that Toriyama, people. One of the things that American Dragon Ball fans piss me off about is not understanding his fucking sense of humor. Granola, that's a stupid name. Bro, the main character's name in this show is Carrot.
Yeah.
And he comes from a vegetable race. Granola's a stupid name. Bro, Frieza's named after a fucking kitchen appliance. The whole fucking thing is supposed to be stupid. Majin Buu is a pun on fucking a Cinderella song, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. The names are supposed to be stupid. So when Toriyama reveals that Super Saiyan Blue was called Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, and people are like, well, that's a stupid name. That's the point. That's the point. Toriyama's doing it on purpose.
With the vegetable names and all that stuff's particularly genius on his part, even if he didn't mean for it to be, because it makes all the names very easy to remember, and it also makes it to where they're very recognizable in comparison to, once you understand that he does naming puns that way, it makes everything just sort of congealed.
And we should also explain to the people that in Japan, Toriyama was already known for doing this with Slump. So it was they already knew. Let's see what Xavier says. Sammo Hung was one of the actors, not Well Hung. That was my nickname. No, I'm kidding. One of the actors that Jackie Chan worked with. I don't remember who the other one was he worked with. So does that ring a bell to you, Sammo Hung?
Yeah, it does ring a bell.
So it might be him. Yeah, I don't remember. Like, I need to go back. Yeah, Gohan is rice and also lunch. Magen, not Megan, Magen, because Megan would imply he's a girl. So this is the big climax right here in the anime. They did a phenomenal job with this. Basically, what happened was they both went for a flying kick, but because Master Roshi is taller than Goku and has longer legs, he was able to hit Goku with his foot, and Goku couldn't hit him with his. I actually really like this finish because it's strategic, it makes sense, and it was like it's very climactic and very like, you know, Jackie Chun only won the fight because he figured out that he was taller and used that to his advantage. In real life, especially in sports like boxing and Muay Thai, if you have reach, you're going to have the advantage. Literally, that's what we see here. It's just, I like it because it's a more realistic finish than just, I mean, this could never happen in real life, but it's more grounded than it being like a beam struggle or something like that.
Yeah, it's a really cool way. It's a cool martial arts way to end it too, because it's the double flying kick. You know,
Web Surfer Blue. Yes, I am aware that comic historian passed away. Rewind the stream to the beginning. We talked about it early in the stream, for briefly. I'm sorry, Jordan. What were you saying? I apologize.
I was just saying it's also a very martial arts-esque ending because it's two flying kicks.
Dude, when I was a kid, the jump kick was like my favorite move in like anything. Like every time.
It's like the quintessential martial arts move, man. Like
Brother
Kamen Rider Black. I don't know if you've ever seen Kamen Rider Black, but he does.
I have the whole series.
Yeah, like he does that kick. It's super cool.
Yeah, Black and Black RX. He says, it was earlier. Brother Ship said he baited Goku into a hand-to-hand finish. No, he didn't bait him. Remember what happened? That was not bait. Roshi ran out of ki. Remember, he has no more energy left. So he knew the only way to beat Goku was to use a physical attack. It couldn't be ki anymore. Even though it does take ki to do these moves. It's just not the same, it's a different kind of ki.
Yeah.
And yeah, double jump kick. Both of them go down. But at this point, we're not exactly sure who got hit. But we find out that Roshi did not take any damage, but Goku did. Goku was so close to getting up. And it was so close to being a double knockout. And I love that Goku. This is so good. So Toriyama dedicates multiple panels to hold on a minute. Shadema says, I don't know if Pokemon was out when the Z Broly movie was made, but I like how Broly says, I choose you, a Pokemon reference. The Broly movie came out years before Pokemon, and the I choose you line, is that from the dub?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, don't worry about that. The dub lines don't count, bro. They just make shit up.
Yeah. That
doesn't count. The Broly, that Broly movie he's talking about came out in like 93, I believe.
Yeah.
1993. Yeah, it was 1993.
That could be
and Pokemon was like 96. Huh?
That could be a Pokemon reference.
In the dub, maybe, but not in the Japanese, because Pokemon didn't exist. Yeah, Pokemon didn't exist till like, 96, I think, in Japan, right?
Yeah. Something like that.
Pokemon Red and Green, I think, came out in 96, I think. Maybe early 97.
Yeah.
So I love this. This is another one of Toriyama using the subversions right. He gets up. Goku gets up. And we're meant to believe like, oh, he made it. And then he smiles. And Toriyama makes sure to show his teeth. And then he fucking falls back. I love the way that was executed in the anime as well.
Yeah, and they reference this quite a few times as the series progresses too. This happens a bunch of different times. It actually recently just happened with Goku and Vegeta, where they were trying to stand up.
Yes, it did. In the post credit scene, of Superhero, Goku smiles and then goes down, and Lozawa was like, "Ooh, I lost."
Yeah.
It's that is the same thing. That has to be a reference.
It is, of course it is.
Yeah, has to be. Yeah, the what's his name? Kubota probably like thought about. Like when he put fucking what was it? When he put Commander Red with Violet to make Magenta. Remember we picked out that it was fucking. Remember how we picked out that Magenta was probably the mother of I'm sorry, Violet was probably the mother of Magenta.
Yeah, and people threw a fit, dude.
Yeah, those Twitter. Well, it wasn't people. It was a couple of. I'm not gonna say who, but one guy was like, "That's not confirmed," and it's like, dude, do you have to have Toriyama confirm everything for you? Can't you just use context clues?
The name puns are confirmation, bro.
And the fact they had a picture next to each other, dude.
Yeah.
Does Toriyama have to come out and make a statement about every fucking thing for it to be official? You know what I mean? And you know what? He did make a good point, though. That picture may not have been Toriyama's idea. That may have been Kubota's idea.
I doubt it.
I doubt it, too, but it could have been a thing where Kubota maybe thought about it and then asked Toriyama, and Toriyama was like, sure, put it in there. You know what I mean? That could be something.
But his name implies
that he's
Toriyama
the son
put
of
thought into it. You know what I mean?
Right. So. Yeah. I think you're right about that. I think and the thing is, it's clearly true.
Yeah.
I don't care what people say. So
yeah.
Anyways, let's keep going. So Jackie Chun is the winner. I love that shot there of Jackie Chun and Goku laid out. Goku has learned that he can't always win.
Yep, that's what he needed to learn.
Chapter 54 is kind of the wrap-up chapter. At this point, Roshi wins. Here's the envelope with the 500,000 zeni, 500,000 zeni. So now Jackie Chun switches back into his Master Roshi getup when nobody sees him, and they're going to go have lunch. So, at this point, Jackie's the winner. We'll see him again in the 22nd tournament. Here they are having lunch. This restaurant right here, it's not translated, but it says, Delicious Yokan Leaf Hall, which is basically Delicious Vegetable Palace. Oh, something else we should discuss real quick. When Roshi blew up the moon, I'm sure people were wondering, wait, what about the Rabbit Gang? They were on the moon. Toriyama specifically discussed this himself in an interview many years later. He said, the Rabbit Gang is likely drifting through space. So what Toriyama is implying is that even though Roshi destroyed the moon with the Kamehameha,
it didn't kill him.
It didn't kill him. Yeah, that's what he said. They're somewhere in the moon drifting. So, go figure. This food all looks great. We've talked about in the past how anime and manga food,
Yeah, it's supposed to look good.
It looks great, yeah.
They put a lot of effort into making sure that it looks good.
Shademus said, I wonder what happened to Mr. Popo when Boo destroyed the Earth. I don't know. He probably died with it, right? I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he's drifting through space. I don't know. So, all's well that ends well. That is the tournament. Roshi just spent the majority of his money because it was 470,000 zeni for all the food. So, Roshi only made about 30,000 zeni. But remember, Dragon Ball is not about money. Not at this point. It's about being a good martial artist. So right here, Goku illustrates the next part of his story. At this point, Dragon Ball, Toriyama could have ended Dragon Ball here if he wanted to. That wasn't the plan, but if he wanted to, he could have.
Yeah.
Right? What if they put Boss Rabbit and Sparking Zero? That'd be awesome. So right now what's going on is we literally see here, if you look at the screen, Goku says, I'm going to find Grandpa's Dragon Ball. So his next quest is he wants to find the 4-star Dragon Ball because prior to him even knowing what the Dragon Balls were, that's like an heirloom of his grandfather. So he wants to find it just for himself, and that makes sense. So here he is flying off on Kintoon, off to the next adventure. I think that's a perfect place to close Volume 4. It says here, now then, will Goku successfully be able to find the Dragon Balls this time? Just what awaits him. How exciting. So
Yeah.
this is the end of the 21st tournament arc, and the very next arc. Well, I mean, this is the end of volume 4. The very next one is the beginning of Red Ribbon, which the manga version of Red Ribbon breezes by. It's a very easy read. Anime takes forever. Yeah, I like the manga version more of the Red Ribbon Army. So, hold on. Sorry about the half phlegm. I really like this chapter. I'm sorry, this volume. I loved all these chapters. It was Toriyama's first crack at doing a climactic fight. He knocked it out of the park. And
Yes,
I don't know
did.
about it's not peak Dragon Ball to me, but it is the beginning of something that would lead to peak Dragon Ball. Panels like this is when, and by the way, this is confirmed, Torishima told Toriyama, you are really good at drawing action, which he is. That is objectively true. And with Red Ribbon, the story continues the adventure theme, but there is more action in Red Ribbon. There's more things going on.
It's like an 80s action film.
Yeah. Yeah. It's James Bond mixed with like Commando.
Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, to me, this particular era of Dragon Ball is what defined it as the quintessential martial arts manga. This is what defined Dragon Ball as that. And I know there are a lot of other martial arts based manga that were around at the time, but in terms of like conceptually conveying what martial arts is and how the culture in Japan and China had been affected by it, I think Toriyama is unmatched in his portrayal, particularly in this volume. I think it's absolutely amazing. He did such a great job. He implements all the themes of martial arts. It's great. It's really awesome.
Almost like he learned on the job how to do it right and did it well the first time. And of course, there would be better fights later on, but this fight, I mean, I have friends who actually, there's people on Twitter too who actually consider this to be the best fight in the series. I don't think so. I like it a lot. I'm not saying it's bad. By no means is it bad, but to me, it's more of a historic piece to show where the story was going.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, and like I said, I think it defined Dragon Ball as a martial arts manga. I don't think you could have considered Dragon Ball a martial arts manga prior to this volume.
That's a good point. It was more of an adventure story. Now we have tournaments and we have martial artists with different techniques and styles, and it does feel like a fantasy version of like Bloodsport, those kind of movies.
Yeah. Enter the Dragon.
Bloodsport is fantasy. I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe a fantastical, because Bloodsport is realistic. Even though people think it's based on a true story, it's not.
Yeah. Also, Enter the Dragon's a huge part of this for sure.
Of course, Killmonger says Dragon Ball might be the manga I'll buy.
The only manga. I think he meant only.
Yeah. Oh, is that what he meant? Yeah. I mean, if you don't have it yet, and you want to actually buy the physical copies, feel free. If you want manga, if you want like the manga just digital, like what we have here, like files, send me an email and I can link you to a torrent so that you can download the entire manga in color. So I'll send you a torrent file if you email me. My email is on my YouTube channel. If you can't find it, tough shit. It's not that hard to find. But send an email and say, hey, I want the manga, and I'll give you a link to the torrent. Because fuck Shueisha. They tried to shut down my fucking channel last year, and I took that very personally. So in order to fuck them, I'm just going to give the manga away for free. So if you want it, email me. Fuck you, Shueisha. But at least they published this good shit.
Well, it's been fun. I hope you all enjoyed this volume. I hope you enjoyed our insight.
I love this volume. I really do. And the next chapter is going to begin the Red Ribbon Army officially. And you'd be surprised to how much the anime added. Pilaf is not seen again for a while, but in the anime, he makes some guest appearances at the very beginning of Red Ribbon. So
yeah.
Anyways, thank you always, Jordan. And of course, thanks to all of you. Check the comment or the description to check out Jordan's channel. The Gogeta video is up, and there's a Vegeta one coming when tomorrow or later next
Yeah,
week?
either tomorrow or the next day. Yeah. Just whenever I get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care, y'all. Have a good one, and we'll see you for volume 5, whenever that is. And